the man in the lotus position. Why lotus position? It's another tree metaphor. So a lotus is a very interesting plant. So what a lotus is that it grows on water. So the water's deep, and maybe the top of it's clear, but then the bottom of the water is very, very murky and deep and dark. And so it represents the dark elements, say, of the unconscious mind or the unknown that we aren't privy to. And the lotus grows way down into that, and then into the soil below. And so it comes out of the darkness, the soil and the darkness, and then through the dark water, and then up into the clear light, and on the surface of the water, it blooms. And so it opens up like a mandela, like the stained glass window on the right. It opens up like that. And in the middle of that, the Buddha sits in his triangular position, in the lotus position. And that represents enlightenment. And what the whole image represents is the coherent ordering of multiple levels of structure, all the way from the primal material up to the highest level of consciousness. And so the Buddha is like the ultimate flower of the lotus tree, so to speak, just as in Christianity. Christ is the ultimate manifestation of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The very, very analogous ideas, and there's reasons for this too. And part of it is something like, if your psychophysiology was properly adjusted, so you weren't working at cross purposes to yourself, and so that you were nicely aligned, straight up, physically healthy, and not like a defeated lobster scuttling around, the information flow through your nervous system, through your body and your mind would be optimized, and that would enable the reality that you're attached to and part of to flow through you sort of in an untrammeled way. You know, instead of you're all full of cricks and trouble and problems and places that are badly aligned, and you know, you haven't got the opportunity as a consequence to sort of get access to your own wisdom, because you're sort of a bent representation of who you could be. And so part of this, and also like the stone and glass that's represented in the cathedrals, is a representation of the idea that there should be a balance between structure and light in you. It's like it's the metaphorical idea, and that you should be properly oriented physically, so that you're in touch with the ground of being in a way that makes you wise and solid. And that's one of the things that enables you to take on the tragedy of existence without becoming weak. I mean, these are they're brilliant ideas. So this is an Eastern mandala, and to me, what it is it's a tunnel into this tree-like structure. It's like a cross-section of the tree-like structure. And it's as if you're looking into the tree-like structure down to the micro-elements of being. And there's a representation there about how perfectly aligned everything is at every level of resolution and every level of manifestation. So he's or that's inside him. That's another way of looking at it. It's the same representation on the Western side of things. It's like that stained glass window is like a cross-section of the trunks that make up the cathedral. All these buildings, like the medieval people spend a lot of time building those cathedrals. You know, those things were massive works of culture. And some of them took hundreds of years to build. I mean, can you imagine modern people building anything that would take like even 100 years? It's like we want things to be up in 6 months, you know, at most. Those medieval people would work away for like 300 years on a cathedral. They were really serious about what it was and what it represented, you know. They were trying to produce the embodiment of the highest ideal in architectural form. You know, and we've lost a lot of that. Even on the campus you can see that, because if you go over to the sort of classical side of the campus, it's all, you know, cathedral-like and beautiful, and there's some attention being paid to the aesthetic element of the wisdom that's embodied there. And then you come over on this side, it's a bloody, like it's hideous, it's a factory. You know, the aesthetic is so terrible, it's appalling. All the buildings that, you know, they're built to last for 50 years and then they're outdated and they're completely cheap and hideous, and, you know, well, they're cinder block, you know, and fluorescent lights. It's like, come on. You know, and they have you guys sit in these things that are so uncomfortable that you wouldn't put your dog in them, and, you know, it's lost to lose this sort of thing, you know. There's a big difference between a medieval cathedral, a Gothic cathedral, and this bloody place, you know. But what you're supposed to be in university is something that's like a medieval cathedral, you know. It's a testament to the best that mankind has to offer. You don't put it in a box like this. It's appalling. It's appalling. There's no excuse for it. I actually think it's a conscious effort to subvert the values of the university. because it's not a factory. You're not factory products. You know, the university is here to teach you how to be human beings, and that's the highest thing that you can aim for. And to subvert that to a lower order, it's the worst thing that can be done. It's a crime against humanity. There's no excuse for it. And the ugliness that goes along with it is part and parcel of the subversion. It's like a hatred of the highest values. It's a terrible thing. So, you know, none of you are going to go home and feel proud that you were sitting in this room. You know, it's like,